In this video, we are going to learn about expressions. And to understand expressions, let's try to understand one use case. So here you have a question in front of you. Console.log of 2 plus 2. Now, can you guess what is going to be the answer for the same? Well, most of you must have guessed it correctly. This is going to be 4. So as we believe, we are going to ask JavaScript what is 2 plus 2. And as a reply on the output, JavaScript is replying back with an answer of 4. Sounds simple, right? But what is the observation that we have to make over here? That it is not printing 2 plus 2 directly on the output. It is actually printing the answer of 2 plus 2, which is 4. What does it mean? That JavaScript is capable enough to answer mathematical operations, expressions, right? So what can we say about expressions? That expressions are always going to result in a single value, and these are the questions that JavaScript are capable enough to answer. Think about any complex mathematical expression. It is always going to result in a single value, and this is something that JavaScript can easily evaluate and then answer, right? So to perform more arithmetic operations on these kind of values, what do we need to use? Well, of course, we are going to make use of mathematical operators for the same, right? So what all mathematical operators do we have available in JavaScript? We have brackets, we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder. We also call it as a modulus operator. And eventually we need to have a set of precedence order for them as well. But why do we need this precedence order? Let us try to make an example for the same. So let's go back to Replit and let me make a random example for us. Let's say console.log of 2 plus 3 into 4, then divided by 5% 6 divided by 7 into 99. Now have a careful look over here. If you're going to evaluate this by yourself without using any calculator, you must be using a modulus operator before using the division operator, or in some other random case, you would like to do this 7 into 99 first and then eventually divide that whole thing by 6, right? So which is the correct thing? Which operator has to be executed before which one? So we need to have a set for rules of the same. So we call that rule as precedence rule. In JavaScript, for precedence management, we have a rule which is known as BODMAS rule. Now, BODMAS rule is something you must have studied in your basic mathematics as well. So it is the same rule which is going to be followed over here as well. So right now, if I try to execute this by writing the command node space expressions.js, you can see the answer is coming out as 35.94. Does it change every time I execute this result? Of course not, because JavaScript is working on a specific set of rules according to which it prioritizes which operator has to be executed first. And what is this rule and how do we understand that? Let us try to see that now. So the precedence rule simply tells you the priority on which the brackets have to be resolved, or any kind of operator have to be resolved. So brackets over here is the highest set of priority. After that comes division, multiplication and remainder. Remainder basically the modulus operator. Finally comes the addition and subtraction. So we simply call this rule as a BODMAS rule, just to remember the order of precedence. Okay, so the brackets come first, then the division, multiplication and remainder, finally comes the addition and subtraction. But you must be able to notice that some of these characters are written in a single line. Now why exactly is that? It is because division, multiplication and remainder belong to the same level of priority, right? Now again you must be thinking, then whenever we have to decide between division and multiplication, which operator we will be choosing first? Well, that is going to be division. So the rule that you have to remember is the precedence level is going to be followed according to the BODMAS rule, and whenever you have to decide between the same categories, you have to go from left to right. It clearly means division is having a higher priority than multiplication, multiplication is having a higher priority than remainder, and that's how it goes. So as you can see, in case they belong to the same category, follow the order from left to right. All right, so let us quickly do a demo of evaluating these expressions as well. So I would recommend you all to pause this video now and try some of these on your own as well. All right. All right, so now let us continue and try to solve all of these questions one by one. Okay, so I'm going back to Replit and let's comment this one, and I can say console.log of 2 plus 2, and all of us already know this one. This comes out to be 4, right? So let's do this quick and let's try to do all of them one by one. So what is going to be a console.log of 5 into 15? Well, let's execute all of them one by one over here. 5 into 15, that is going to be 75. We are shortly going to check the answers as well. The next one is 10% 2. So percent over here is known as a modulus operator. And what does modulus stands for? It simply gives you the remainder when you divide the first number by second. So for an example, if you're going to divide 10 by 2, what is going to be the remainder left? Well, in this case, it's going to be a 0. The next one is console.log of 19 minus 29. So let's do that. 19 minus 29. Next one is console.log of Java plus script. Java plus script. Console.log of JS divided by 4. Well, this seems to be weird, right? We are trying to divide a string by a number. Can you guess what is going to be the answer? Think about it. Next one is 3 plus 10 into 2. Finally, the last one, that is console.log of 3 into, I think that's going to be a 3 plus 10 into 2. All right, let's make that up. 3 plus 10 into 2. All right, so before we execute all of them, let's try to solve it on our own as well. So the first one we already know is going to be 4. The next one is again a simple multiplication. This is going to be 75. 10% 2, as I've already explained, is going to be 0 because when we divide 10 by 2, the remainder is going to be 0. When I do a 19 minus 29, again it's a simple subtraction. The answer is going to be minus 10. When we do a concatenation of two strings using a plus operator, it simply gets merged. So this becomes JavaScript. Please remember that there is going to be no space between both of them since we are simply concatenating the two strings as it is. Now the next one seems to be interesting. We are trying to divide a string JS by a number which is 4. Now in this case, what is the answer we are going to get? Let's execute and check first of all. So if I execute this, I'm able to see an answer known as NaN, stands for NaN. Now what is the full form of NaN? NaN stands for not a number. So it is a special number available in JavaScript, which is simply used to denote all the invalid mathematical operations in JavaScript. As you can see on line number 8 currently, we are trying to perform a mathematical operation using divide operator, but this kind of a division of a string by a number is totally invalid. So for all invalid mathematical operations, we can say NaN is the answer we are going to get. So NaN is a special number which simply denotes all the invalid mathematical operations. What is going to be the next one? 3 plus 10 into 2. Well, this is going to come out as 23. Which is the operator which got executed first? Well, that was multiplication. Why? Because of the BODMAS rule. According to the BODMAS rule, multiplication has a higher priority than the addition. So 10 into 2 becomes 20. 20 plus 3 becomes 23. Finally comes the last one. Since the brackets have the highest level of priority, so whatever is there in the inner bracket is going to be resolved first. So 3 plus 10 becomes 13. 13 into 2 becomes 26. And that's how you have got the answer 26. So this is how we evaluate our mathematical expressions, and JavaScript is capable enough to answer these kind of expressions into a single value. Interestingly, what is going to be the data type of this value NaN? Let us also try to print that. Console.log of type of NaN. Let us print the answer. And interestingly, this is going to be a number. Well, the full form says not a number, but the type of says it's a number. So that is the reason when I gave you the definition of nan, I clearly stated that nan is a special number available in JavaScript, which is used to denote all the invalid mathematical operations in JavaScript. So please remember, you don't have to be confused between the definition and the data type, right? Nan as a value is simply standing up for not a number, but its data type is clearly a number itself. All right then. Now, how do we evaluate our variables with the help of expressions? So let us say we have var x equals 3. We are storing a value 3 in the variable x. So if I do a console.log of x, what is it supposed to print? Obviously, it is supposed to print 3. Similarly, if I do the same for y with the value of 4, this is simply going to print me 4. Now, if I do a var z equals to x plus y, and then I try to do a console.log of z, what is the value it is going to print? Can you guess? Well, you have guessed it right. It is simply going to print 7. So what do we understand out of here? That expressions doesn't necessarily have to be the direct values itself. You can even store these values into some variables and use variables in your expressions as well. That is also supported in JavaScript. So whenever there is a value which is directly visible in the code, we can also call them as literals. So since the value 3 and 4 are directly visible in the code, we are calling them as literals. But the value x plus y is not a literal. It is going to be considered as an expression. Expressions always need to be evaluated first, and then only they can be printed. But the values are directly going to be visible in the code, so we simply call them as literals. So a quick debrief of what we have learned about expressions. So an expression can be concluded as a combination of literals, variables, operators, and some other simple expressions that is always going to evaluate into a single value.